Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for Old Stories, New Ways, a heritage scrapbook series that I do with my friend Sarah. So this is the layout that I created. So I created a wedding layout using the A Perfect Match collection from AC. So what we are trying to show you is you can still use new collections with your old heritage photos. So I have a photo of my mom and dad at their wedding reception, or wedding dinner as it was called then. And when I went home recently, my mom wrote a bunch of stories down for me, but she wrote them on yellow Post-it notes and she wrote them in pencil. And while it's lovely that I have the stories and lovely that I have the stories in her handwriting, bright yellow Post-it notes, it could be worse, right? It could be hot pink Post-it notes, aren't a fantastic way to convene the story or convey the story. So I have found a way to scan them in and then digitize the scan and get rid of the yellow. Actually, so what I'm doing is pulling out the print. And I will have another video coming up. I hope to film it at the end of this week. Actually, I hope to film it on Friday, maybe put it up Saturday, Sunday. I can't promise that, but it is, I promise you, it is coming up. So the photo, if you happen to have seen it over on Instagram, in my stories, is actually this particular label. And you will see that at the end in the close-ups. But I have a whole bunch of them that need to be done, so I will show you on another one. So I have the Perfect Match collection, which is a wedding collection, and I'm using that for this wedding story. And what I'm doing now is I am cutting out a envelope using a Spellbinders die. I love this die, and there's a bunch of flowers that go with it, but I already have flower. You can see the floral embellishments on the left-hand side there. And so I'm going to use those flowers instead of the flowers that accompany this die. So my original intent had been to use this mint polka dot and have the background and the front of the envelope be the same, but I decided to change my mind because I do. And if I had not changed my mind, I would have run the die through so that the words ran across instead of up and down like they do currently, but it's really subtle, so I'm not going to worry about it. So the idea had been that I wanted these balloons to be coming out of the envelope, and then that I would have a bunch of the florals scattered throughout the page. But I didn't really like it. So I decided it looked fun, sort of that party atmosphere. They're standing in front of a wall of balloons, per se, like that's what would happen, right? And so then that allowed me to be able to put the florals tucked into the envelope, as kind of is the idea per the Spellbinders die. So I am putting a bunch of florals in there, and then I want one or two outside of the envelope in order to create a visual triangle, was kind of the idea, but I didn't like that. So I'm going to rearrange the entire layout because it felt like everything was bottom heavy, right? That I had all of the elements in one place. So by putting the pattern paper up the top and then the embellishments down the bottom, I create a better contrast and weight balance of objects in my layout there. So pink's going up with the top with the confetti, and then that sort of randomly cut strip just provides some darkness and contrast and some sort of additional whimsy to it, and it's not just this hard line. And then I decided I wanted to back the photo because that was just going against the white cardstock, and that way it brought the color from the top down to the bottom of the page. It also softened the photo because the photo was taken at night and it is a black and white photo. That way the contrast wasn't so stark between the white background and the black in the photo. So matting it afforded me the ability to do that. I love it. Absolutely love it. And then I can put the envelope with the florals. So still sticking with the same idea of what I decided to do, just changing the placement of where they're going to go. I don't know, for some reason this paper was not the white cardstock was not the same 12-inch width as the pattern paper, so I had to trim that off there. So resetting up all of the things that I had set up before I decided to glue everything. I will tell you my original intent had been to stitch just above the striped strip, but it didn't need it. It's just with those balloons there was no way I was even going to pretend to get that down. So rearranging the page there, you saw my thumbs up, love it. So for vellum, so these are vellum balloons. I have this is a really old planner pen from Prima. They don't make them any longer. And so you could see I'm very sparsely putting down the adhesive because I got to make this thing last as long as I can. This has been the best vellum adherer adhesive that I can find. And I've reached out to people and asked them what they use, and Sarah herself uses liquid glue, and just puts it sparingly. I still feel like you can see that. This you can't see. It dries clear. It's absolutely perfect, and it doesn't warp the vellum. So I'm just going to keep using it until it's gone, and then I'm going to just be really sad because I still don't feel like I have a good replacement for it. So if you are a manufacturer and listening to this, that is what we want, is a good vellum pen like that Prima pen. All right, off my side note there. So I decided that I didn't like the florals that I have, and I'm going to go with different florals, in part because I really wanted that pink on the side of the photo. It just brought sort of the pinky peachy hues together between the pattern paper, the floor, and the florals. And now I know I needed somewhere to journal. So I go to my tried and true and trusty 49th and Market envelope bits, which has all of these little journal spots. And I will tell you now, I take that off because it is too pink. It's almost a hot pink, and the other pinks are softer pinks. I don't really see that while I'm filming, but when I step away, it is glaringly obvious. And so I will replace that with a tag that you will see coming up. So I have more embellishments from the collection, and I'm popping up the champagne bottle and the 2 wine glasses because it is, I believe my dad has a glass in his hand. It's probably beer. Actually, no, I don't know what it is, but I do know. So from their wedding, so they got married in Singapore. Yeah, I'm fairly certain Singapore. My dad is not, we are not American originally, by the way. So they were in Singapore, and they had bottles of XO cognac. I don't know whether they bought them, but it was a big deal at the time, and they saved them. And so my sister had a bottle for her wedding. I had a bottle for my wedding, and I'm pretty sure they saved a bottle for my brother. They didn't know at the time, right? But they saved bottles. And we actually opened ours, I believe it wasn't our wedding night, but not long after our wedding, and it had gone bad, which is unfortunate because they were expensive bottles of cognac. Anyway, aside. So I want to hang some baker's twine from the balloons just to pull a little bit more of that mint color. There isn't a lot of that mint color into the layout, so you can see I've got those 2 there. I then cut a label from my favorite Tim Holtz dies along with these tags. So they deboss the tags and deboss the labels. So I cut one out of mint that I will handwrite the date and their names and their ages, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't. Their names at the top there. And now I'm cutting out the debossed label, the tag, I apologize, and then the tag, the whole reinforcer, and that is what is going to go there, and that is where her handwriting is going to go, just modified to get rid of the yellow. So I'm going to print it on sticker paper, and I'll tell you more about that when I post that video. So I want to put something in that whole reinforcer, and I was going to put that same mint color, but it's kind of heavy. So I just take a couple of strands of this gold thread, and I'm going to tie that in there just to tie the gold from the top to the bottom of the layout. And again, it's something a little bit softer that is next to the heaviness and the weight of that black in the photo there. And then while I've got all these stickers out, embellishments that I didn't have up beside me earlier that weren't calling my attention, I really liked these banners, and I thought that they added a little something on that left-hand side. I will off camera also stamp a giant XOXO, as well as the best day above that mint label there. And that will wrap up the layout. So be sure to head over to Sarah's channel. I'll link you in the box down below to what it is that she is creating with old stories and using new collections. I think she's also doing a wedding layout as well. So it's kind of a wedding-y kind of, I don't know. But I love the way that this new collection kind of brings fresh life to older photos and still be able to tell the story. And the best part is that I've got the story told in my mom's handwriting. I absolutely love that. And so I'm excited for future generations to have her handwriting, even though I do have to decipher it for them. So thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're excited about this series. We're having fun doing it. Come back again soon. Take care.